Have you ever looked back at a relationship and realized you weren't really in love with the person? You were in love with who they could become. Maybe you told yourself things like, they just need more time. They have so much potential. I see something in them that other people don't. And for a while, that belief can feel powerful. It can make you feel patient, loyal, even hopeful. But over time, that hope can quietly turn into something else. Frustration, resentment, and the slow realization that you've been building a relationship with a future version of someone that may never actually exist. So why does this happen? Why do so many people fall in love with potential instead of reality? Part of the answer lies in how our minds work when we're emotionally connected to someone. When attraction and attachment begin to form, your brain doesn't just evaluate who the person is right now. It starts imagining who they could become. You begin filling in the gaps. You start writing the next chapters of the story in your own mind. And those imagined chapters can be incredibly persuasive. Because when we see potential in someone, it activates something powerful inside of us. Hope. Hope that they'll grow. Hope that things will improve. Hope that the problems you're noticing right now are just temporary. But there's an important psychological shift that happens here. Instead of responding to someone's consistent behavior, you start responding to their occasional glimpses of who they might be someday. Maybe they're kind sometimes. Maybe they show ambition occasionally. Maybe there are moments when you catch a glimpse of the partner you wish they were all the time. And those moments become the evidence you use to justify staying. Your brain starts building a narrative. If they could be more like that version of themselves, this relationship would work. But here's the difficult truth. Potential is not a personality trait. Potential is not a pattern. And potential is not something you can build a healthy relationship around. Healthy relationships aren't built on someone who someone might become. They're built on who someone consistently chooses to be. Consistency is what tells you who they are, really. Consistency is what builds trust. Consistency is what creates emotional safety. When someone repeatedly shows you their priorities, their communication style, their emotional availability, and their willingness to grow, that's reality. But when someone shows you occasional flashes of something better, while their overall behavior stays the same, that's potential. And when you invest too heavily in potential, something subtle starts to happen. You begin shifting into a role that was never meant to be part of a romantic relationship. You become the project manager of their growth. You start believing that if you just love them enough, support them enough, be patient enough, you can help them become the person you see in your mind. But the truth is, growth doesn't just happen because someone else believes in your potential. It happens because you decide to take responsibility for your own development. And when someone isn't actively choosing that growth themselves, no amount of patience, encouragement, or emotional investment can force it to happen. This is where many people get stuck. Not because they're naive, not because they're weak, but because they're hopeful, they're loyal, and they're convinced in themselves that walking away from someone with potential means giving up on something that could have been amazing. But here's a shift that can change everything. A healthy relationship doesn't require you to consistently imagine a better future version of your partner. It allows you to appreciate who they are right now. You don't have to ignore red flags. You don't have to explain away patterns. And you don't have to hold on to the idea that someday things will finally become what you'd hope they'd be. Instead, you can ask yourself a much more powerful question. If this person never changed, if the behavior you're seeing right now stayed exactly the same it is for the next 5 years, would this relationship still feel healthy, supportive, and fulfilling? Or would it slowly wear you down? Because the answer to that question often reveals something important. It shows you whether you're loving the person in front of you or the future version you've been imagining. And when you begin choosing relationships based on reality instead of potential, something shifts. You stop trying to fix people. You stop trying to rescue relationships that aren't working. And you start recognizing the difference between chemistry and compatibility, between hope and evidence, between who someone could be and who they consistently show themselves to be. And that awareness gives you something incredibly powerful. It gives you the ability to make choices that protect your emotional well-being instead of slowly eroding it. So if you find yourself drawn to potential, here's something to reflect on. Pay attention to patterns, not promises, not plans, not the version of someone that shows up occasionally. Patterns reveal the truth about how someone moves through the world. And when you learn to recognize those patterns clearly, you stop building relationships on possibility and start building them on reality. And that's where healthy love actually begins. I'm Phoenix, and if this episode resonated with you, have people share it with people on social media. Also, make sure you follow this and maybe leave a 5-star rating. This is the Mind and Motive Podcast. Change the way you love. See you next time.